It's feminism that hates women.
Yikes. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Oh my gosh, why does that person have a platform? Today we will be discussing once more Lori Alexander, aka the transformed wife. If you don't know who Lori is, basically she is a very traditional Christian woman who has a blog and has written some books and has a YouTube channel that she's active on. She says women shouldn't work though, so I guess she's not taking her own advice. Now of course there's nothing wrong with being a Christian. I myself am starting to identify with progressive Christianity, or mostly like focusing on being like Jesus and having a relationship with him specifically. And if somebody wants to be a stay-at-home mom or be more traditional, that's absolutely fine. I just have a problem with people who tell other people what they have to do in their life, that there's only one way they can live their life because of the gender that they are. Which she does. A lot. And on her channel, she recently uploaded a video called Do I Hate Women? So I watched like 30 seconds of it and it was already awful. So I figured why not just make a video about it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, my name's Lori Alexander.
Okay, she hasn't said anything bad yet. I just noticed that in all of her videos, she never edits out the part where she like turns on the camera. I know I shouldn't be like scolding this middle-aged woman for her editing skills. That is the least worrisome part about her. But it's just really weird because I only see people like turn on the camera visibly in a video when they're making like an apology video and they want it to seem more like sentimental, which I can only dream of her doing.
And I'm frequently accused of hating women. In fact, this morning on my Facebook page, one of my top fans said, "Why do you hate women so much?"
I mean, I think she definitely is the oldest pick-me girl I've ever seen, but I think she just has a ton of internalized misogyny in her. Kind of feel bad for her, honestly.
Well, I want to let you in on a secret. It's feminism that hates women. They don't want women to bear children, get married, be homemakers, be feminine.
Oh my gosh, it is the same repeated argument with these people, I swear. They can't come up with a good reason for why women shouldn't be allowed to like, choose what they want to do with their own lives. So they just pretend like everybody else hates them. They just make it sound like feminists hate stay-at-home moms, No one is against women bearing children. That would literally end the human race. Which now that I think about it, wouldn't be the worst thing. And no one hates stay-at-home moms. They just want to empower women to show them that they have options, that they control their lives, and that there isn't one specific design that fits all women. I don't see why that's such a difficult concept to grasp.
They don't want you to keep them until you birth them and stay home with them and raise them yourself to love God and love others.
Okay, I think that she thinks that feminists hate Christians because they don't like her. Most people don't have a problem with Christians themselves, or any religious person really. With religion, there's a spectrum of people. There's some people who use religion as a way to cope with things. They value their relationship with the superior being that they believe in. And they genuinely want to use religion to better themselves and be more loving to people around them. Not that you can't be loving if you're not religious. And then you have people that use it as a way to feel like holier than thou and feel like they're above people and judge and shame other people. Lori, these evil feminists aren't coming after you because you're a Christian. They're coming after you because you spew hot garbage all over the internet.
Feminism is the one who hates women. I love women. I want women to be feminine. I want women to live out their God-ordained lives of marrying, bearing children, guiding the home, being the ones home to raise their children, and do what God wants them to do.
I love women, as long as they don't step out of their place. I think she does genuinely believe that she thinks that she knows what was best for women, or that her advice is helping women in some way. I personally don't want kids, and it isn't because I'm a feminist who thinks that having children is oppressive or something. It's because I'm just not a kid person, and I honestly wouldn't be a good mother. I don't have it in me. Also, childbirth is the second most painful thing in the world from what I've heard, and I'm good. But the point is, every woman is different. And trying to control someone else's life based on your beliefs isn't love. Because if you really love somebody, wouldn't you be encouraging them to do something that makes them happy, regardless of what that is? As long as it's not destructive. You wouldn't be telling them that they have to have kids if they've expressed to you that having kids would make them unhappy. It's just a screwed up idea of what love is.
It's what God created for us. He created two genders only. male and female. And no matter how much our culture wants to change that, it will never change.
Oh great, so here comes the transphobia. I feel like every time I make a video about her, she always manages to slide in something transphobic. It doesn't surprise me because people like her tend to care way too much about things that don't matter this much. Like, I personally don't care what gender anybody identifies as. Like, just tell me your pronouns and I'll respect them. I don't care. Because why would I? It costs you nothing to grant a person decency and respect. But it can negatively affect them if you don't. Also, you can just sense the aggression in the tone she has. And no matter how much our culture tries to change that, it'll never change. Got that? Your identity doesn't affect me at all, but it offends me.
A man who becomes a woman after he's been dead 400 years, his DNA will show that he was a male, no matter what he's done to himself or how he's acted.
And if she was transgender, her brain structure would probably show that she has the brain of a typical female. Obviously, 400 years later, she would just be a skeleton, though. But it doesn't matter because you're not going to dig up some skeleton of a transgender individual hundreds of years later to try to prove some weird point of yours. But gender is different from sex, which I don't understand why people don't know this. It's so obvious. If gender and sex were the same thing, then wouldn't intersex be a gender? But no, because people who are intersex, they still identify with a gender, you know? Even though they are biologically both male and female. And it's so easy to say that there's a difference between gender and sex and that gender is a social construct. Because when you go to the store, you see products that are specifically marketed towards people of a specific gender, even though literally anybody could use them. And we have social norms, like the same people who will say like, oh, your genitalia is the only thing that determines your gender. Those are the same people who will get mad if they see like a boy wearing makeup or something. What does putting powder on your face have to do with having a penis? And because when you see somebody, you can usually kind of guess what their gender is, like what pronouns to use for them. Obviously not always, and if they tell you otherwise, then use the pronouns that they tell you to, but you can usually tell. It's not because you're looking between their legs before you say hi to them, because there's more to it. I don't understand why this is so difficult to comprehend.
And feminism fights God. They fight everything about God. They hate God. They've led to a nation that values death and devalues life.
I would say that I value life a lot. I'm literally vegan because I don't believe in senseless violence. I'm assuming she's talking about abortion, so let me explain my views on that. Abortion is obviously not a good thing. I've never met a person who loves the idea of it. It's just nice that if they get pregnant and they don't want to give birth, they don't have to. I would love to see abortion rates drop because most women aren't thrilled to have an abortion. It's a difficult decision to make. And I'm not here to judge anybody for that decision. But making abortion illegal will not solve the problem. Women have found ways to get rid of a pregnancy in desperate times, and often in dangerous ways. We don't want girls going to drastic measures and hurting themselves because they couldn't get an abortion. We need to have healthy conversations with our kids about intimacy. Talk to them about consent and how to be safe. Don't just tell them not to do it. And obviously, since some parents won't do that, we need to have sex education. Good sex education. Abstinence education only does not work. And don't make your kids feel like if they get pregnant or they got someone else pregnant that they couldn't come to you about it. Don't make them go to a drastic measure to get rid of it. I want us to do as much as we can to reduce abortion rates. But I do want abortion to still be legal for the women who do want one or who need one so they don't end up, going to dangerous measures.
They fight for birth control. They want women to be able to have promiscuous sex, have sex with whoever they want to have it with, just like men, and have no consequences, although it hurts women a lot more because women are the ones who mostly get the diseases.
How could you possibly be against abortion and birth control at the same time? That makes no sense. Yes, I want women to have access to birth control, because I want them to be able to be safe and make choices about their own body, whether or not they want kids. I think it's perfectly okay to sleep with somebody if you don't want a child. I don't really care what other people do in the bedroom. I think that's a pretty weird thing to obsess about. People have the right to have promiscuous sex if they want to, just like someone else has the right to be a virgin. And can we talk about how she said, like men do? Basically just another way of saying like boys will be boys. Or it's okay for men to have sex because, they just can't control themselves. But women are supposed to be pure little virgins until marriage. The level of misogyny in this woman, I've never before seen. At least not for me. Also, the existence of STDs does not mean that you can't have sex. Just be safe about it. Get tested and make sure the person that you're sleeping with has been tested. And use protection. And does she think that like men can't get STDs or something?
They think that your worth and value comes from a career. Let me tell you another secret. Careers are for men to provide for their families. They were the result of the fall, a curse from the fall, that men were to be having to toil in the soil to provide for their families. Feminism has deceived women to think that their worth comes in what men curses, having to provide for their families. Our curse is pain in childbirth.
Okay, to point out the obvious, careers are for providing for yourself and feeling a sense of fulfillment and, something that you enjoy. Plus, there are many families that can't survive on one income. Buying a house and making a living is different than it used to be. Plus, she's against birth control, and she says in previous videos that you have to give your husband intimacy whenever he wants, so who knows how many kids you're gonna have to raise on one income. And even if you could, some people just don't want to. Some people have dreams that involve staying at home with their kids and being a stay-at-home parent, and other people have dreams that involve being successful in the workforce or building a company or, having a career. Both valid things to pursue. I don't see what she's upset about. I mean, she thinks that a woman's worth depends on whether she's submissive and is popping out babies. I would disagree with both of these. I think as a human being, you have worth. You're valuable in how you contribute to society and how you impact people around you, how you change the world, how you help people, and just being a good person in general.
Everything feminism has fought for is a lie, including voting. The reason women fought to vote was because they didn't believe that men knew how to lead.
No, we just enjoy having basic human rights. Our leaders will be making decisions that directly affect us, so why shouldn't we have a say in who our leaders are? The fact that she's actually against women voting, I shouldn't be surprised by that, but it's just such a thing to say. Diversity is extremely important in leadership positions. We need to have people of different backgrounds and different identities who can tell us, from experience, what the people that they represent need. One group of people can't make decisions for everyone. We need people who have experienced being a certain identity so that everybody's needs are being met. This is why representation is so important. She then goes on to say that the leaders in the Bible were men except for Deborah, so therefore men were just natural leaders. Yeah, it's almost as if if you suppress someone's voice and you don't give them opportunities to lead, it'll be harder for them to get into a position of authority. Yeah, it's definitely because men are just natural leaders, and not because women couldn't vote, were considered property, and didn't have basic rights for the longest time.
Men, and that's good. And women have rebelled against that. They're held accountable for a lot, the leaders. We submissively and lovingly follow the leaders that God has placed in our lives. We don't rebel. When you're in rebellion, there's anger and hate and bitterness. You can see it in our culture so clearly now. And we don't live our lives that way. We live quiet, gentle lives, joyfully. We keep our eyes on things above. We know this is in our home. We know how it all ends, and it all ends wonderfully. We raise our children and our grandchildren to know Jesus. My favorite thing in life these days is to be with my grandchildren, cuddling them, laughing at them. They're so cute and funny. And all these women who have sought careers instead of children and grandchildren are missing out so desperately.
So basically, it doesn't matter if you're facing injustice. Shut up and take it with a smile, because that's what you're meant to do. Hey, and don't be mad about being mistreated, because someday you'll die. Nothing lasts forever. Oh my gosh, this logic. I'm convinced that this woman has Stockholm Syndrome. Also, she acts as if women who have careers don't have kids. It's just impossible. You can have a job and still raise a healthy, functional family. Those two aren't mutually exclusive. She's over here okay, you might have a voice, and you might have the freedom to choose what you want to do in life, but I have grandkids. Take that. You can have both. So that's all we're going to be reacting to today, because I just cannot handle this much of this woman for too long. And because the video is over, basically. The reason why I make videos about this woman is because she is one of the most blunt people I've ever met, and her message is so dangerous. Because when I go to her YouTube channel, a lot of her comments are people supporting her. Or one of these comments, this poor woman, it broke my heart. She asked her if it's okay for women to work, and Lori replied and was no, not if you have kids. And so she was oh, I'm finishing law school right now and whatnot. And Lori was trying to just like encourage her to drop out of school. Like, it's just insane. Like, literally trying to destroy women's careers because of this. Like, obviously I know that she's probably brainwashed and indoctrinated as a kid, and she just never like got out of it for some reason, and now she's just spewing this to other people, thinking she's like enlightening people. I just wanted to make these videos so that maybe somebody who genuinely watches her videos, like, you know, because they think that she's correct, can see a different point of view, a different perspective, and maybe think like, oh, maybe she's not actually right, you know? But thank you guys for watching this video. As always, please comment down below what you would like me to review next, and I will see you guys next time. Stay safe, y'all.